Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first Q&A. So this is a pre-recorded video. In the future, we will be doing live streams. We've discussed it. We're going to put up a post like we did for this one, except, you know, it'll just prepare you to answer the question, or ask the question, I should say, live versus pre-recorded. Anyway, a whole bunch of you have asked a whole bunch of questions, and we're super excited to get stuck into it.
Okay, so I'm just going to go in order of what we've actually received. Kevin asked, at what age did you get your first figure? He thinks it's a weird question. I think it's a very normal question.
I usually get asked, what was it? I don't usually get asked what age I was. I think I was like 13. And I saw this ad on eBay for a used, loose, and it was old at the time, Mark III. So like the first version of the Mark III, the plastic Iron Man figure. It was complete trash. It was really mistreated. But I loved it, and I got it for like $100 or something. I think I was about 13 when I got that.
I didn't actually know that about you.
Yeah.
Because I thought I got him his first figure, because I got him a statue, which technically isn't a figure, but that was sort of what got him, I think, into really starting to build up a display. The next question's from Steve. What was the first figure that you got in hand and thought, shit, that's awful?
Aside from that Mark III, because I really liked it at the time, it would probably have to be that Dusty Deadpool. Like, I've kept it because I'd still rather have it than not. But it wasn't an initial reaction. I was like, oh, this is really terrible. It was more like once I got stuck into it and you saw that you had to put in the duct tape all on yourself and there wasn't even an instruction sheet to show you like where to have it so it's movie accurate. That really pissed me off. So that has grown to be my sort of like most despised figure. But even then it's not really that bad. So that one, I guess.
I tend to find you don't have a reaction to the figure straight away. You might discover how much you love or hate it as you start to try and pose it, put the accessories on, and actually see it in that level of detail. So one figure that I thought I would like was your Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
No.
And the more I look at him, the more he does not look like Joaquin Phoenix, especially the Joaquin in the movie, because he was very slim and very gaunt for that film. I still don't think it looks like him, but it's one of those things, especially the third-party figures. I just tend to find, like, there's a reason Hot Toys cost what they cost, because the R&D and the effort put into, like, especially the clothing, I feel like that's something that just often is forgotten when it comes to third-party figures.
Well, there's a whole bunch more Jokers coming, so hopefully one of them nails the Joaquin likeness, according to Miss Collection.
As soon as you put the face paint on, you've pretty much nailed it anyway, so... what are the few pros and cons about owning a Tesla, and how did we meet? That's from Chris.
Pros and cons owning a Tesla. The first con would probably be the price of entry. They're kind of expensive. And depending, of course, on which one you get. Now you can get the Model 3, and it's introduced a whole bunch more people to Tesla, which is awesome because it's a great, you know, sort of community to be in, just like figure collecting. But that would be one of the cons. I can't really think of any other cons. A lot of people would say range, but I don't really agree with that.
Well, it turns into a pro because when you think about the fact that you can just charge it at home as soon as you get home, you don't have to worry about taking the time to go out to a petrol station and feel like I still do. Justin doesn't even think twice. If he needs to charge, he just plugs it in that night, and the next day he's got enough to get him generally wherever he needs to go. So It's a pro and a con, and you're not paying for petrol either, so that's a massive pro, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And they are quicker, there's less maintenance costs, you don't have to do brakes ever, because when you let off the accelerator, it decelerates and puts charge back into the battery and slows down the vehicle. You don't need to do brakes because you're not using them. You get frequent over-the-air updates. In fact, this week, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting an update that gives me 5% quicker acceleration. Like, how many cars do you know of that just get an update? Oh, it's quicker now.
None.
None, right?
And it's a product that is regularly improving. You've invested in something that isn't going to directly depreciate. It's going to continue to improve through the software updates. And you've got a product that's going to last you much longer than your standard car, which already loses value as soon as you drive it out the dealership. When
I sold my Model S, or traded my Model S with someone, I actually worked out quite well. I didn't lose any money. So those are the pros and cons. How did we meet? If you're an internet sleuth, you'll be able to find this. But our love of motoring goes beyond Teslas. We used to do a car review channel before I got into the figure review game. And as I said, if you're an internet sleuth, you'll be able to find it. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Please
Please don't. The videos aren't great. It was very early on in my video production career, so they weren't excellent. But we had fun making them, and then that's how we met, filming car reviews. So
I was the first female or only female host in the end, but yeah, we just bonded over our love of cars. James asks, what figures do you hope or wish would be made by Hot Toys or any third party?
I get this a lot. I actually don't really have a big list of figures that I want. Pretty much someone has made everything in one way or another. I can't really think of any. Do you have any that you're like, oh, I really want?
Look, it'd probably be very niche, and that's why I know they won't be. Generally speaking, like, anything that's hot has been made. That's why they're called Hot Toys.
Oh.
Otherwise, yeah, there's no franchises that I love enough that I want to have characters made into figures.
Fair enough. I really want a CW Batgirl now, after watching that show. Miss Collection doesn't like Batgirl. As soon as she put on that red wig and the red outfit, I don't know what it was about it, but she just, like, instant badass. I don't know what it is. She looked complete noob in the other Batman outfit with the, like, really bulbous sort of cowl, but as soon as that red hair went on, it's just like, whoa, that's dope. So I want a CW Batgirl figure. So Toys, please.
I'm sure it will happen.
I hope so.
Kevin asks, if you ever bought a life-sized figure of a character, which would it be?
Well, technically I kind of do/don't, I guess, have a life-size figure. It's my Batman suit from BVS with the Justice League cowl, but now I also have a BVS cowl. So technically that's a life-size figure, I guess. It's not fully poseable or anything, but it sort of fills the shoes of that. I'd love an Iron Man, maybe?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If it was well done.
Of course.
It has to be die cast.
It can't be a NECA, like a foam thing, because you can get, like, we've seen them at Zing before, those life-size, those foam, like, Iron Man.
Yeah, the fiberglass looking
Yeah,
type
they're like
ones.
$1,000 ones. It's like, oh,
roughly
okay.
painted and really, like, you know, coarse and chunky and not.
The detail's not there, the paintwork's not there. Nothing against NECA, they do great work, but like their life-size stuff is not at the upper echelon of life-size stuff, and I don't know what is. So,
I can't think of anything because just like Justin, every once in a while gets terrified when he walks into his own collection room. I wouldn't like a full-sized anything in my house.
It takes getting used to. Unless
it was maybe like a Pokemon or something cute and not that something that looked like a person that had broken into my house, I think.
Fair enough.
Yep. This is a good question. I don't think we'll have the answer. Jian Tan Lui asked how not to get addicted to Hot Toys.
I don't think there's an easy answer to that. Unless you collect, like, really obscure stuff, then there's not that many. So, like, if you go down the Matrix, I was just looking around, the Matrix line, there's only one figure, so you can't really get addicted, but you probably will anyway, because you'll see what else they're doing. Unless you really only like that one specific franchise and you absolutely hate everything else, that's the only way, I guess. Setting rules with yourself doesn't really work ever, I don't think. So, like, just be like, oh, I'll only get Iron Man figures from the first 3 movies in red. It will never happen.
No. I think the only real answer to that is turn off the internet and don't find out what new products are getting released.
Don't like anything and then you're fine.
Yeah. DC, Marvel or Star Wars, only one of these collections can stay. Which do you choose? That's from Reese.
That's really hard because Star Wars is one of the most complete lines, especially when it comes to original trilogy. We're still missing a few, but in one format or another, we have most of the characters. So I'd probably go with Star Wars, to be honest with you. They're not the most exciting in terms of the color scheme and like, oh, wow, look at that. But they are characters that everyone really does appreciate, me included. My second choice, if I'm allowed even a second choice, if Star Wars doesn't work out, would be Marvel, just because, again, the lines are really complete. The only issue with DC lines is they don't do them all. Like Cyborg, we're not getting a Mira, we're not getting Ocean Master, we're not getting any of these characters that had really cool outfits. So unfortunately, I can't say DC. As much as I love my DC figures, it's either Marvel or Star Wars for me.
I'm just thinking of staying power, and I feel like at the moment, Marvel's sort of leading the pack there. Just you know, they obviously have a long way to go. They've got a lot more shows and characters and releases to come. So
Yes.
if we only had to choose one that we were allowed to have moving forward, I feel like Marvel would be the correct answer, because there's so much we still don't know about. Star Wars, we've gotten sort of to that point already, and you know, unless they want to continue Mandalorian and other, like another trilogy and create some more new characters, there's not much left. And then, I mean, DC, like, it's kind of been overdone, not in terms of figures, but in terms of the movies and the shows to me, so.
Fair enough. Okay.
Miguel asks, when's the next Hot Toys display event? So wherever they're next going to be shown, mainly a convention where they show new figures, like in Comic-Con, for example.
I think the next one would be probably San Diego next year. I don't think there is another big toy show that they do aside from that. So I'm probably thinking San Diego Comic-Con next year, and then followed by that would be ACGHK, which is like a couple of weeks after. I'm going to try and be at both of those again. We won't be doing New York Comic-Con, though, next year, just because it's not as big of a turnout. I absolutely loved the experience of going to New York, and the Comic-Con I think we both did. But in terms of content for the channel, because that's one of the reasons why we did go, there wasn't a hell of a lot. And now that I know that, next year I don't think we're going to do New York, but San Diego and ACGHK, we're coming.
Yeah. Quano asks, are there any figures that you don't like, and how many figures have you gotten rid of after the review video?
Are there any figures that I don't like? Aside from Dusty Deadpool, I don't know if this counts as a figure, but the Mark 50 accessory set, I didn't really like that much. I kept a couple of things from that, and then I sold the set. I think I don't actually buy stuff and then on-sell it to review, because I need to keep them for comparison videos later on anyway, and for the collection tour videos. I don't really on-sell anything. I either try and find a way to keep it in the display, or it stays in storage. I haven't really sold anything. The Neon Tech 2.0 Iron Man, I actually didn't buy that. That was sent to me to review, and then I returned it back to Philip, so it was like a review loaner. But that's really the only thing, aside from the Mark 50 accessory set, that I have sold. Like, even really poor figures, and I shouldn't even say it's really poor, but like the Bullet Head Mantis, the third-party Mantis, which is kind of bad. I have that, and it's just sitting in the cupboard over there because I can't bear to put it in the display because it's kind of creepy. But I don't actually get rid of most of my stuff, so.
Yeah, look at the cabinet behind us. What looks like it's been gotten rid of? Nothing.
Yeah. In fact, I buy more than I ever sell. So.
Yeah, and that's why we have a bit of a storage problem.
Storage crisis.
Mason asks, what is the most disappointed you've been in an MCU figure?
Okay. Okay.
Well, the fact that you have to think about it probably says a lot.
Recently? If that's recently, then none, because they've all been absolutely excellent. But if we're talking about older lines, then some of the really early ones, and you can't really critique them too hard because they're really early, like the Avengers 1 Cap and the Avengers 1 Thor were kind of average, and considering the rest of the figures in that line were actually really strong, I don't know why they sort of dropped the ball on those, so those two. But other than that, all the MCU figures I've actually really liked, even the ones that people haven't, like Vision. I even really like Vision. So, I like all of them, but Avengers 1 Cap and Avengers 1 Thor, they're not excellent.
Yeah. Okay. James asks, cleaning and maintaining figures. You don't do a lot, to be honest, from what I've noticed.
Not really. In terms of maintenance, I do nothing. This room is, like, there's no heating and there's no AC in this room, so it's pretty much always a stable temperature, except today, because it was super hot and it's, like, baking in here right now, so I've got the door open. But I don't really do anything in terms of maintenance. Like, I don't apply any of those sealants or coatings or anything. I don't find that it's necessary. And I've got a feather duster thing, and I just sort of go around every now and then. And because they're behind glass, they don't really get dusty on the inside, because I only really come in here to film. So I'm not in here a lot, and dust is mainly skin cells or whatever it is. So I'm not actually in here, and there's not that much dust being produced.
The cabinets sort of do the job for you, and as long as you maintain the moisture and the temperature levels, you don't really have any maintenance requirements. I mean, we'll see. Maybe in 5 years it'll be a different story. But yeah, I was going to say, because the door is shut to this room, very little dirt or dust or cat fur or anything gets in here. So that's handy.
Yep.
If you can have your figures shut away in some way, whenever.
do it.
You can just do that and you'll save yourself a lot of time.
Yes, definitely recommended.
Luke asks, how did you introduce your collection to me?
Oh.
And how did I react? I don't really think there was an introduction because it sort of took place.
Yeah, I didn't have one.
as we were dating. So I sort of just started seeing the figures accumulate and I didn't say anything because I'm very much about letting people be who they are. And this was just sort of like a new side of you that I was learning as we were
Well, so was I.
getting to know each other.
Realize that I would be in this position like 3 years ago or whatever it was that I started like fully buying stuff. But Steph bought me the DC Direct Arkham Knight statue, and then I was like, whoa, I love this thing. And then I bought the Batman, and then I was like, whoa, this thing's awesome too. And then I discovered or rediscovered Hot Toys, and then I bought a Man of Steel Superman, and then for some reason that Man of Steel Superman was just so damn good that I had to just go all in. And I was like, you know what? Whatever it is, I need it. Then the DC movie started hitting, like Batman vs. Superman. That was the real jumping in point for me. The Batman vs. Superman Nightmare Batman. I saw that on eBay. It was some obscene amount of money. But I bought it and then just uphill from there. I don't know.
We never spoke about Hot Toys and like I didn't know what it was he was getting into. I just started seeing these figures accumulate. I wasn't aware at the time, I don't think, that they were posable or like that detailed. I wasn't looking that carefully, and I definitely didn't know what price he was paying for them. So it took a while until I wrapped my head around what they were, and then it like once you pay attention and you get to know what these products are, you do develop a respect for them. And I think that's the difference between people just seeing them for the first time and making their judgment, like, what is this very expensive toy? Black Cow Walter asks, how did you first broach the topic of the issue on how involved or invested you were? So this is a good segue.
Yep.
Of collecting to me, and what was my initial reaction, and how did this evolve to where we are now?
Okay, well, as we just said, it sort of like evolved as our relationship evolved. That's really how it happened. It wasn't like a surprise, look how many things I have. It sort of steadily started growing. The collection and getting things early from Hong Kong actually started way before the channel, at least a year and a half before the channel actually started. I have to thank our friend Daniel for convincing me to do the channel. Without him, it actually wouldn't have happened. Check out the collection tour that we did with him on his collection. But without him, it wouldn't have happened. So yeah, it just sort of evolved as we evolved.
Yeah, the collection just sort of kept evolving in the background. I wasn't paying enough attention to realize how much money Justin was spending and how much space these were going to take up. And I didn't know how many had been made because I wasn't aware of Hot Toys as a brand at the time either. So it grew pretty rapidly as soon as Justin sort of clued onto the whole concept, and then it somehow got its own room, and I don't even remember that happening because they are in their own space and they're not encroaching on our family space. And, you know, to me, you know, your home and it feeling like a home is really important. So having this separate sort of gallery space, one, makes it a purposeful space, but also separates it from everything else. So
fair enough.
Black Cow Walter also asks, how was the Wagyu from last time?
I think the Wagyu that you're referring to was the one that we made at home. It was actually really good. We discovered this new sort of method of basting it with butter, which sort of deglazes the pan and uses some of the juices from the meat back into, introduces back into the steak itself. So I really like that. Mm-hmm. It was really good. We actually, in Australia at least, have our own Wagyu farm, so we don't have to import it all from Japan, so it's not super expensive. So let us know if you'd like a Wagyu restaurant tour video, because we can definitely pick out some of our favorites and let you know how good, how expensive, which ones we prefer, because I think we are pretty much Wagyu connoisseurs at this point.
We eat it on average about once a week or once a fortnight, which is probably a touch
A week
excessive.
is not complete without a Wagyu meal. That's my opinion.
It's a very indulgent thing to do, but
yeah,
it brings us joy.
Oh well, I love it. Let's keep going.
Hot toys are indulgent too, so.
Oh.
Do you keep the art boxes, and if so, where? That's from Soch.
Yes, such. I keep them in my storage unit. I have a specific storage unit for all the boxes. I'm running out of space in that too, though. I keep them just in case I sell them, trade them, or we have to move. But yeah, we have a storage unit.
Roy asks, when is it time to quit collecting?
I think it's a really hard question to answer. I almost said a hard question to ask, but it's a hard question to answer because it depends where you are in your collecting journey. If you're just starting, obviously there's no point just saying I quit. Unless there are a couple of things. You have really everything that you could ever need. Even if you're just starting and you only pick up a few pieces and you're like, oh, that's it. These are the characters I love. I'm done. So you have all the characters that you love. You've run out of money. You've run out of space. Or your partner has run out of patience with you. But I'm at the stage where if something happens and I can no longer keep collecting, then that's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not saying that will. Don't worry, my channel's not going anywhere. Because I kind of have a version of every single character from my childhood in multiple different formats. So I'm actually pretty comfortable with where I'm at right now. It's going to keep getting bigger. But it depends. It's a very personal question.
Yep. You don't want it to ever feel like a burden. As soon as it feels like a burden or it's a chore or getting too hard, then that's definitely a sign to stop.
Definitely.
So, I don't know how sustainable this is because
Very.
They're coming out so often and we're not getting rid of any. So
no, never.
We're never going to have enough space at this rate. So I don't know what's going to happen. We'll
make it work.
We might hire a commercial space eventually. I feel like we're going for a world record. Maybe that'll fund the collection.
We'll see.
Zishan asked, is this your full-time job? And if not, what do you do for a living?
This is not my full-time job. Let me just say, if this was my full-time job, we would be living on the streets. Because the channel actually makes very, 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 very little money. One of my most recent videos, the Endgame Tony Stark, the Shield suit version, Howard Potts, that video has made 80 cents.
Wow.
80 cents. I paid $100 and something for that figure. So if anything, I'm actually losing money. Obviously it varies. That's one of the lesser, examples. But even on some really, really popular videos, you only make maybe, if you're lucky, $50 and up to maybe $100 if you're like really doing quite well.
Australian dollars,
not US dollars. That's even less. So I work for a telecommunications company. I've said that line like at least 100 times.
I think so.
I work for a telecommunications company. It's a really big company. And they've got flexible working hours, which allows me to spend some of my time when I'm not working at home, on my lunch breaks or whatever, making videos, which I really do appreciate. So thank you, my employer.
And I work in interior design. Done.
Excellent.
Sean asks, top 5 dream figures that haven't been made or announced. Mm-hmm. One from each category. So I'm just going to rapid fire you.
Blitz through these.
DC character.
Robin.
Marvel character.
Luke Cage.
TV show character.
Titans Robin.
Music icon.
Freddie Mercury, but the Bohemian Rhapsody. Who's that guy? Rami Malek or Rami Malek?
Yeah.
His version, because I didn't have much exposure to Freddie Mercury until the film, and I really liked the film. So
cool. And game character.
Game character. Either that Arkham Knight Batgirl that we've seen like 90 million times on display, or some of the designs from the new Avengers game, which is coming out. Maybe the Iron Man. A lot of people don't like them, but I kind of do. So maybe that one.
They're sort of like a pared back version. I think that's what it is.
Fair enough.
Oliver asks, what are some of the licenses that you wish Hot Toys could pick up? Personally want more DC properties like Joaquin's Joker and Watchmen.
They've kind of done sort of a bit of everything. Even now they're doing like a CW shows with that Flash figure that they announced. So they're kind of dabbling in everything. I don't really have one that I'm like, I really want them to do this. And then, go for it. But I don't really have one like that, to be honest. Do you?
Look, if anything, maybe some video games, if they picked up Assassin's Creed or Dragon Age, I'd be happy. But like Harry Potter, they've started to dabble in, and I'm not surprised they're not going to take it too far because it's not going to make money. I don't feel like Harry Potter fans are going to be collecting Hot Toys unless they're diehard. So
well, I think that part of the franchise is probably a little bit past its prime, and they're looking, or Warner Brothers is looking to expand, like with the Fantastic Beasts stuff, which doesn't seem to have worked that well. So I don't think that they could go back and make these kid-style figures, because I don't know if that has aged very well in terms of a merchandising opportunity.
Well, then it would just be like the one-to-one scale props. I'm really liking those at the moment. So if they did stuff from Harry Potter, from, I don't know, even Pokemon, like a real Pokedex or a Pokeball or anything like that would be really fun.
Winnie the Pooh. I hope they continue that line.
Yeah, I do like that Winnie the Pooh.
That Winnie the Pooh looks absolutely outstanding. I can unequivocally say that whichever year that one comes out in, that's figure of the year.
Mm-hmm. How often do you repose?
Not as often as I think I should. There's like this mental blocker, and Dean Knight said this a couple of times, but as soon as you put stuff behind glass, you sort of mentally just don't want to touch it. I try to trick myself into reposing stuff by making a repose series, but then I met Peter, and his videos are so far above what I was doing in terms of the complexity and the sort of the poses that he's gone into, the risk of sort of damaging stuff. It doesn't seem to really bother him because he buys this stuff to pose. So I recommend Peter's videos over my repose stuff, but that was my way of sort of reposing some of my stuff, was to do that. However, let me know if you'd like to see me get back into it, because they won't be as sort of technical as his will be. They'll probably just be a quick showcase, but it'll sort of get me back into the habit of posing some of my stuff and getting my money's worth out of the stuff I'm spending a lot of money on.
Yeah. And I think once you've got a bit more space and you have the room to actually spread these figures out, you'll be able to create scenes and that sort of thing. But at this point... Yeah, at this point, that's not even feasible.
Yes.
James asks, what was yours and Miss Collection's favourite cartoon shows growing up? And if Hot Toys asked you to both pick a character from the shows to make a figure of your choice, which would you pick?
If it has to be specifically cartoons, then the ones I watched were Batman the Animated Series, but Mondo is already making really awesome animated series figures. I watched Transformers, but we've got a bunch of different companies making Transformers. Takara's absolutely killed it with their figures. If it only has to be cartoons, aside from Winnie the Pooh, which we're getting a Christopher Robin version, I can't really think of any. I did absolutely love Power Rangers, though, so I wouldn't mind an original team of Power Rangers from Hot Toys, but hopefully a third party, that company, I forget what it's called, I think it's Ace Toys. They've been teasing it, but then they're doing it, not doing it, so I don't know. But those are my picks.
I grew up watching Cheese TV. If anyone else is an Australian millennial, you'll probably know. It was like, it dictated what I watched in the mornings before school.
Oh, Dragon Ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would love Dragon Ball figures from Hot Toys, whatever. Make it happen.
But I just watched whatever Cheese TV put in front of me. There wasn't any other channel for me to watch at like 6 a.m. So they had Pokemon, they had Yu-Gi-Oh! They had a lot of anime. They had Zoids, which wasn't very big, Digimon. They had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but
that'd be a good one. But the movie, not the cartoon.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think any of those should really be made into figures. To be honest, I don't see the anime or cartoon melding into a figure, like a 3D.
It doesn't often very well. It doesn't often.
Yeah. So
no.
I don't think I'd like that. Maybe Pokemon, like a 1-to-1 scale prop would be cool, or I'd like to see them try and attempt fur on like a cute Pokemon. That's about it.
Cool.
Mickey asks, what's the worst Hot Toys figure in your collection?
Dusty Deadpool.
And will you be doing another podcast with Budget Stark?
Yeah, maybe. I'm always on board to speak to Budget Stark. He is one of the most awesome people that I've ever had the privilege of speaking to. We actually, I think I can call him a pretty close friend now. We've been to London, basically to go out there and film an episode with him. We've met him in Hong Kong. This is both Steph and I. So I reckon he's one of our closest collecting friends, just friend in general. So yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do another podcast with Budget Stark. I might actually be having a new podcast project coming up very soon, so stay tuned, watch this space. It might have a rotating list of co-hosts, and I reckon that could be really fun. So we'll see.
Rick from That's Hot asks,
hey,
what's the grail piece or pieces in your collection?
Well, first of all, Rick, you're totally awesome. If you haven't already, guys, check out That's Hot. It's a store in Melbourne. It's in High Point Shopping Centre. They have a whole bunch of awesome collectibles there. Rick is a store manager. He is one hell of an awesome dude. Grail piece would probably have to be my Mech Test Tony Stark.
Cool. Oh, this is like a like, do you know this or you
Oh, okay.
Lee asks, are there plans for DC as in Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, 66 Batman, John Wesley, Ship Flash figures, and CW Crisis crossover?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but...
I get a little bit of inside information here and there. I have not heard one peep about any of that stuff. So no, I don't think so. Unfortunately, I would love all of those.
Nonito asks, how many figures do you have in your collection, and are you planning on changing it all up for the displays?
Oh.
I don't think we can count, to be honest.
I think it's close to 280 now. Maybe.
Shit.
I think it's close to 280 now. Almost at 300. When I get to 300, we'll have a celebration.
You will.
We'll have a celebration. Everyone. It'll be a celebration. I'll give something away.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's a figure that can be made of anything, what would be your most wanted figure? Real person or movie or game or whatever? That's from Craig.
We've answered this, I think, a couple of times. I don't really have a I really, really want X character. Because they've kind of been done in one way or another. So I don't really have one, to be honest with you. There are a couple that are I'd really like to have. Like the Titans TV show Robin, which I've said a bunch of times. I would love to have Titans Robin, but it's not a must-have in my opinion.
I was gonna say this only just came across my mind. Clearly, I don't really want it that badly, but the Orphan Black show that was on Netflix, that would be really easy to do because she is just the same face, just redone 20 times. So I thought that was a good show, mainly because of her. I don't really know if that storyline sort of carried through very well, but the actress herself, she is so incredibly talented, and I feel like she is worthy of having her own figure. So
fair enough. I would like one of me.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Please.
I'm sure someone out there can do that. And lastly, Jackson asks, what sort of advice would you have for anyone who's new to collecting 1/6 scale?
Start with a property that you really, really love. Something that you grew up with, ideally, would be nice. I started with DC because that's my bread and butter. I started with watching Batman the Animated Series, and then it went on to the other animated properties like the Justice League or whatever they called it because it had different names in different countries. So I started off with Superman and Batman. So pick something that you really love and, start hopefully at the lower end of the budget. Don't go for something like a Nightmare Batman that's $800. You don't want to start there because then when you get it, you spend $800, you don't want to touch it, you don't want to pose it because it's super expensive. So start with something like Man of Steel Superman or Jor-El. Really inexpensive figures, but really, really good figures. Start there and then work your way up. Or even start with a new figure like Justice League Batman. I don't even know if you can see it on camera. It's up there. Justice League Batman, because it's new, it's readily available on the market. Toys Wonderland, places like that. You can pick up these new figures. Start there. But that's really the only advice that I have. As long as you love what you're buying, I don't see any problems, really.
Yeah. And if you are doing what Justin had to start doing, which was retrospectively collecting and trying to find figures that were no longer being sold from the stores, then it's almost like a fun hunt. Don't make it a chore. Don't make it really difficult for yourself, and don't make it stressful. Just take your time and keep an eye out on eBay if you have Gumtree or
eBay's good.
Craigslist or something like that as
Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace. Treat it like a treasure hunt. Make it fun, and then it makes the whole experience more rewarding.
Have it in on the back burner. Get the new stuff because it's super easy to get, but then have a list that's sort of going on in the background. It was almost a year between me putting that Mech Test Tony Stark on my reminders app on my computer of figures to get, and it was about a year before I actually found one on eBay for a decent price and I pulled the trigger. But just have it going on in the background. Don't actively go out and every day try and find this thing because you're going to spend a lot of money doing it that way. Just sort of have it going on, and then if you stumble across a deal on eBay, like a used figure or a loose figure, then pull the trigger.
Yeah, it makes it much more fun that way, I think. When you put it up on your display or your shelf, it's more rewarding because you know that you spent a long time and you showed a lot of patience trying to find it.
Definitely. Is that all the questions?
That sure is.
Hey, we've done all the questions. We'll probably do this every now and then, and as Steph said, we'd maybe like to do this live. Obviously, we need the second channel to grow a little bit bigger before we can have a sustainable audience for that. Do let us know if you like this format for these type of videos, potentially, or we will be going into movie reviews. We don't know exactly how how it's going to look, if it's going to be like this or if it's going to be something else. But let us know if you've liked this video and what specifically you've liked about it. Give us some constructive criticism as well. We're open to that. But that's pretty much it from me. Do you have anything else to add?
No, that's it. Thank you, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. It tells me that what I'm doing is right. You know, it tells me that what I'm doing is on the right track. So please, like, in any way, a like or a comment, as long as it's an indicator for me to keep going in the right direction, I would love it. And if I'm not going the right direction, tell me. The movie reviews will start soon. We do go to the films quite often. Terminator is coming out
this week,
on
actually.
Thursday, so we're really excited to see
I need a
that.
recap on Terminator 1 and 2 before Thursday, and we've got, like, we'll have to watch them both tomorrow.
Pretty much.
Okay, well, anyway, if this video is not out before then, we've already seen Terminator and the movie review's probably already up. But we're probably going to be starting with that, and then we'll keep going.
Yep. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope we answered your questions well, and it gave you something new to take away. Any other questions, please comment down below. We'll definitely still answer them there too. So,
well, just comment them down below and we'll do them in the next one, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
make it
that
into
works.
like a series.
Yeah, excellent. Well, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.